and I thank all of our guests for being here today. Professor Waller, I appreciate you being here and sharing your time and your expertise with us on these issues of antitrust. And I thank you for setting this committee straight when it comes to, as you put it, quote, the consensus of understanding of antitrust laws by most courts and commentators. It's critical that we combat misinformation faithfully and communicate the state of our law. It is also critical that we not lose sight of how the content underlying this hearing impacts businesses and people. Especially, my focus is children and other vulnerable groups as our lives move increasingly online. I want to read just briefly from the charter. It says, we are committed to taking actions which better protect everyone, children in particular, online, and working towards a media environment where hate speech, bullying, and disinformation is challenged, and taking steps to ensure personal data is protected and used responsibly when given. That's a pretty critical mission. I care about that for my kids and my grandkids as we are all moving more and more online. Professor, what does your professional experience tell us about GARM's objectives and the need to safeguard against the worst kinds of online content, child sex abuse material, terrorism-related content, and deliberate hate speech or misinformation?
What I've heard today, particularly from the witnesses from the companies, is a concern that an antitrust agency or an antitrust court would take very seriously as a legitimate business concern about how the standards for GARM assist a company in making a unilateral decision about the types of advertising that would best serve their marketing and brand management strategies. So I can't take it much past that, but I'm hearing something that a court or an agency would take seriously.
I appreciate that. And Mr. Patel and Mr. Jewell, maybe you could help me here. From your perspective, if businesses were required to place ads on certain platforms, what would that mean for your companies? And if you're comfortable speaking to this issue that I just pointed out I care deeply about, what do you think it would mean for child sexual abuse victims and survivors? Mr. Patel.
Firstly, what I would say is that telling us where to invest wouldn't be the best return investment for our brands and how to build the equity of our brands in the US would be the first response. We have a clear policy when it comes to where our brand agencies want. We don't want our brands to be near any harm. Like my testimony shared, there was examples of child abuse, etc., that brands like Dove should not be associated with and money invested against, quite frankly.
Can you give me an example of that? An ad placement?
Yeah, but I think two years ago, there was a Dove ad that was next to child abuse. We had a backlash, rightly so, from our Dove consumers to say, why would the brand be associated, an adjacency to that? And that's why we do what we do on brand safety.
I appreciate that. Mr. Jewell?
I believe the question was around if I was required to advertise on certain channels.
Correct.
What impact beyond that? That would be not great for our business, not great for free economy, not great for the brands that we represent that are trying to grow their own business. I mean, each brand and each product and service tries to connect with different audiences, and it's up to them, and some of the art of what we do, and honestly, the trillion-dollar media market that exists worldwide is about finding those audiences, and how do you connect the brands with those people? To be forced into certain paths would sort of eliminate a free market.
Do you have internal conversations around the possibility that your ad dollars could be used unwittingly to fund child sexual abuse material? Do you worry about that? Do you have conversations about it? Because certainly it is a high risk.
Absolutely, we worry, and our clients worry. I spend most of my time talking to our clients about where their brand dollars show up and how they fund different types of content. And their number one concern is about providing assurances that they're not doing societal harm.
Mr. Patel?
Yeah, that's at the heart of the brand safety conversation.
Absolutely. And that's what we ought to be focused on here. How do we protect the online world that we are all now in not just through the economy and through businesses such as yours, but how do we protect our children against this? That's where this committee ought to be working, not in the way we are today. Thank you all for your expertise.